Good evening. How are you doing? Welcome to the special, secret, quiet, late night episode of the Empty Film Podcast. And it really is a poor excuse to call this a podcast, I must say. The condition that I have posted this in. But I'm here just to talk to you. Very late at night. I must admit, I'm sleepy myself, which is why I'm doing it now too. We gotta keep it authentic, you know. Cinema is about authenticism, and I'm not actually talking about. Well, I may talk about some movies, but I'm mostly talking about anime. So, sorry guys. I'm sorry to let you down. I know. You should have expected that this was going to happen, honestly, that there was going to be the obligatory anime episode. Because after all, I have mentioned some, probably, I must have, I'm sure I've oh yeah, no, I've totally talked about a couple of anime films before, and actually the anime films that I've discussed on this channel, films that have come out in the recent years, would actually be, you know, related to the ones that I will be discussing in this video, because I sort of wanted to just talk about how we're in a pretty good state for anime. I mean, I can't pretend I am like a animeologist or anything, but what I can tell you is when they're good, they're good, you know what I mean? Like anything else, when it's good, it's good. And what do I mean by good? Well, you know, for one, there was, it felt like there was a bit of a repressive era for animation, anime, you know, really, I guess it did come with 2D animation as well, so it was kind of happening everywhere. Like, when you start getting into the 2010s, anime, you know, it just, because digital was still in an early place, like, things weren't happening on analog as much, which, I mean, people were editing anime on digital in the early 2000s, but there was just something about where tech was at in the 2010s, where things just look a lot flatter, and, you know, CG was in a strange place at this time. So, what I can tell you is that I think we're out of this era. You know, again, I cannot speak for every single anime that has come out, but since 2020, okay, even though there are some pretty good ones that came out before then that were continuing into 2020, I just feel like by that year, with the good anime that were left, that were coming out, okay, I'm setting my case here, I feel like, you know, after the early 2000s with the big boom of anime in America, we had a repressive era for a while, sort of in general, because the hype died down in America, and again, animation, period, was just sort of in a strange place. So these things kind of coalesced. But now, I mean, anime is like just pushing the envelope forward, period, as it has in the past as well, as it has in the days of Akira, of Perfect Blue, of insert Studio Ghibli film here, especially the classic ones. So, you know, I would just like to sit here and really just talk about some anime that I love. I will do this progressively throughout the sleeping nights, the slumpa nights, and I will just sort of babble on about anime that I'm loving. And you know, it could have also only been a repressive era because I wasn't paying attention. But at the same time, again, animation itself was in a strange place in throughout really the entirety of the 2010s. But when you get to about 2020, like 2019, 2020, you have the studio who sadly not remembering the name of at the moment. I don't want to say one studio, it'd be wrong. But you know, the studio that has been making Demon Slayer. I've mentioned the Demon Slayer movie here. The in the second episode, I believe, the 2022 episode. The Demon Slayer film, or well, the people who made Demon Slayer, period, like when that anime started in about 2019, you know, that is a spectacle of color, of momentum in animation. Like, it is a godsend. And then, yeah, fucking Mappa coming out, you know, I don't know when they started up, but as of recently, as of the last few years, they've been taking every job they can get, pretty much. And their trademark on top of really sharp and slick and cool animation is the really sharp and slick and cool rotoscope. Like, on top of just regular 2D animation, they use a lot of rotoscope, and they use it for their action in things like Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man. And Jujutsu Kaisen also was just so goddamn good that it had me reading manga. I will maybe show those off, and I only own a couple at the moment. I do want to pick up some more. You know, sometimes I gotta be coming out with the manga. I gotta be coming out with the manga when it's that good. You know how it is. Because even in the 2000s, right, when anime was booming over here, okay, but a lot of the stuff that was bigger was, you know, it was a lot of the earlier shonens. Part of the reason why I feel like we've reached a golden age is not just because of the quality of the animation itself that we've reached, but the formulas that we see in a lot of anime, especially action cartoons, they were getting old by the 2010s. So you saw a lot of stuff that, you know, pulled away from that, essentially. And that was needed. You know, you gotta inhale and exhale. You know, it's an ebb and flow type of thing. Even if at the time, and still with certain shows, I resented how much they pulled away, especially if there would be a certain show that used to be kind of like a edgy action anime that was then kind of just turned into a silly sort of comedy thing. I'm repenting about Teen Titans. Okay, I'm repenting about it. I know the Teen Titans Go fans don't want to hear it, but I'm sorry. I'm repenting. I mean, I don't have anything to repent for. It's not what repent means, but anyway. And Teen Titans is also you could count it as an anime, I guess. If Avatar counts as an anime, Avatar: Last Airbender, then I think Teen Titans counts. Although Teen Titans Go, I don't think that counts as an anime. I don't think that counts. So, this ebb and flow has brought us an era of slick and cool action, but on top of actually meaningful plots, not just these very simple, it's my dream to be the best ever, like, you know, the Pokemon story, but with, like, hand-to-hand combat instead of dog fighting. Like, that's what, like, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, that's what these are. Even if they have elements of something different, even if they have streaks, you know, or even, I mean, the aesthetics of something like Dragon Ball Z, for me in particular, you know, each one of those that I named will strike you differently than they strike me. And for me personally, Dragon Ball Z, like, in terms of aesthetics, I adore it. But it's really goofy, it's really dumb and goofy, and I can admit that, I love it. Like, I love it for that, that's part of why I love it. I think it has its emotional moments, but they're here and there, you know. And even Dragon Ball Z in the modern era, like the newest movie was CG, but the 2D sequences of it is some of the best 2D that has been in Dragon Ball ever. But they, before that, have been, making some pretty good 2D animated films since the mid 2010s. Pretty much throughout the mid to late 2010s. And I think that helped. I did not see the One Piece movies. The movies, specifically the ones by the studio that did the Dragon Ball Super movie, but I probably will someday. I'm not a One Piece guy in particular. I will truly sit here for a second and give you an actual nuanced take. I'm not going to be an internet boy and be like, oh, One Piece mid. Listen, the anime is a product of its time, which is another reason why I'm about to list another thing that's better about anime now. No filler. Absolutely none. All the shows I listed are earlier, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, One Piece, littered with filler. I mean, that's like what most of these shows are. Like, not even a joke. Like, 2/3 of these shows, like, they're actually not relevant to the real writings that they're based on. And it doesn't usually even fill it up with content that's worth it either. So, One Piece, though, to give my full nuanced take, I do appreciate that the manga seems to have some, like, highly political tones. I guess that's kind of cool, because out of those, shonen classics, you don't really see that. I mean, most things have politics, no matter how vague they may be. But One Piece is actually, like, forwardly political, so that's cool. And I like some character designs, I guess, with that specific animation studio that did the Broly movie. I think I could get into it. At least those things, But there's also just so many other great anime that are coming out today, too, as well, I mean, Hell's Paradise is one that I love. I'm not even really that deep into it. I love the art. I love the art style of it. I read a little bit of it, and I've seen what has been released up until at the point of recording, which is not many episodes at all. And again, I haven't read much, but I just love it from an artistic standpoint. Again, we've been in the gold age for a few years now. This is a new point. We've been in the golden age for a few years now, so we're about to start to get a little samey again, with these types of, like, more brutal, more sincere, more empathetic action stories, which again is also cool. I would rather that than just sort of like consistent brain off energy. I like that. Again, I like Dragon Ball Z. That's fun for me. But, it is cool to have anime that aren't that. And that's also why I have to shout out Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That shit was way more deep and tragic than it had any right to be. And I think I said that in my 2022 podcast. But you know what? I don't care, man. God, I'm so fucking sweaty. I'm so sorry that I put you guys through this. Whoa! Here I am in a crazy Dutch angle, here to talk to you, finally, a little bit more cohesively, about the anime that I have been enjoying in this potential golden age of ours. After all, I don't know every anime that's come out ever. I can't perfectly, recite to you everything. Oh, where are my notes? I can't recite to you every single anime that's come out ever, and the periods that are objectively overall better than the others. But what I can tell you is that in my youthful teenage years, and not even the bitter years of my tween days, you know, the middle school years, you know, past that, when I was a teenager, it would do like a 16 to 19-year-old who just wanted cool action stuff to watch. I wasn't really noticing as many anime that were sticking out to me. You know, there were a few that I will mention, like One Punch or Mob Psycho and Attack on Titan, that during the 2010s were holding a strong grip on the medium. You know, and I kind of fell off with My Hero Academia because personally I really liked the concept of it initially, that it was just Naruto with like a superhero skin and no filler. I liked that prospect, but when you have a bunch of superheroes locked into the age of middle schoolers, it kind of absolves the main thing that I like about superheroes, which is that they're adults and they're dealing with adult shit. You know, they're role models. You know, these kids, you know, I can only look at them as role model characters so much. I mean, especially when they're dealing with middle school shit, you know, and I started it in late high school, and that much distance was enough to sort of disconnect me, and I was just feeling like, man, is watching this more worth my time than trying out JoJo? Because I still hadn't seen it at the time, but I had garnered a nickname of Josuke in school because of my slick back, black, short hair. From the great Avery, actually, the great cameraman on this channel, Avery Bajirkley. So he, you know, he would call me Josuke all the time, and I mean, a bunch of people liked JoJo, and I was hearing about it. I was certainly intrigued, and eventually I started My Hero first, but JoJo's the one I wanted to do right after, and My Hero just has this weird, what do they call it? Leaps and rallies. That's not what it is. I'm sorry. I look stupoid for getting that wrong. I'm so sorry. But the pacing of My Hero, it was kind of whacking me out a bit. You know, they did 2 seasons in a row that were, the first half was very much all the climactic stuff, and the second half was like a lot slower paced, simpler stuff, you know, training arcs. So it wasn't filler, it was still important, but it's like, is it more worth it than JoJo? And I gotta say, for me personally, JoJo was the wise decision. I've gotten so much like life energy out of JoJo. And this year, you know, in the 2020s, we've had Stone Ocean kind of throughout the early 2020s so far, really, because Stone Ocean did take a little while to come out in full, because Netflix got their hands on JoJo, and that kind of killed the hype a little bit, just purely because it wasn't coming out weekly anymore. So, you know, there wasn't that consistent build of energy and attention towards the show. So you know, there were some weird gaps there, a lot of empty gaps of time, but it's come out and I love it. I adore it so much. And I was watching that at the same time as Cyberpunk Edgerunners, which I was mentioning previously. And here, I'll get the actual list up here, just so I can look back to it and recall other things I wanted to discuss. Because, yeah, we have, you know, this MAPPA era, and it's not just MAPPA, but the fact that we've reached a level of animation where it either is like a Demon Slayer-esque, like hyper colorful, super fluid type of beautiful thing, Cyberpunk Edge Runners as well, or it's like rotoscope. Again, it's really cool sleek anime with rotoscope, as I was saying, and man, you know, I am adoring it personally. You know, I brought this list out, but I pretty much talked about all of these for a bit, except, I guess I didn't really get into Attack on Titan too much, because I will probably do, you know, maybe a full video on that, once the anime is done, even though I did read ahead. I was an anime only since, like, fucking episode 13 of season 1. So, you know, I've actually been waiting 10 years to see this thing finish since 2013. And, man, you know, when they really had to pull a, season 4 part 3 part 1 on us, you know, like that, like, come on, you know, like, that, it's, I can't wait that long, you know, so I had to read ahead. And some things are definitely muddied there. You know, there was a whole debate. Attack on Titan definitely became far more controversial because of its ending. I don't really think it was, you know, you may have had some haters over it. It was definitely always a thought-provoking type of show, especially from like an emotional standpoint. And, you know, especially if you were really into lore, the way it slowly reveals itself is wonderful. But yeah, it definitely became actually controversial within the last few years. So that's interesting. I can't wait to see all the I mean, I'm dreading it, honestly, all the anime onlys joining in that conversation, likely spitting a bunch of dumb takes like most of everyone else who's already in the discussion has. Anyway, not most everyone else, but certainly plenty of people, I think, have taken some pretty extreme perspectives. Even though, again, you know, the ending of Attack on Titan is a bit muddied. I'm not going to say much. But I do think overall that, you know, so much of the series points to anti-fascist. It would be so strange if in the last, you know, if the whole thing was a movie, like in the last 10 minutes of your movie, you know, your anti-fascist, your genuine, heartfelt anti-fascist story becomes like Nazi propaganda. You know, there's really few chances where something like that happens, you know. So, I don't know, man. I am just sitting here basking in it all, though I'm very happy these days, you know, with everything that's out there, even if it takes 10 years for some of these things to finish. You know, but even then, like, Attack on Titan, like, back when I was, just back throughout the 2010s, my choices felt so narrow with anime. You know, because this was, the 2010s was the era of Netflix anime, right? So even if it wasn't, like, anime made on Netflix, so much of just what was in everyone's view was like a lot of samey kind of you know, just oh god, what the fuck is that one called? Ouran High School Host Club. Ouran, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. Shows like that was in everyone's peripheral. You know, like the cool era of Toonami that brought the strong men and the good times led to the era of the weak men in the 2010s, thus the bad times. But now we're back into good times because MAPPA
runs on slave labor, and that's how they're able to get so many anime out at once that look as good as they do, more often than not, anyway. I've read very, very little bits of Doro, uh, and you know, I don't know why out of all the anime mappas animated, I guess they just put them all on a big wheel and we're like, okay, which one of these is going to be 3D? We're making all of our slaves draw all these frames. Like, we only got so many slaves, you know. We gotta make the fucking Chat GPT do it, you know. So let's spin the wheel. Ding! Oh, story Doro. Doro, hey Dorito, got it. Look. See, I've barely even interacted with the actual series. I just have loved the art that I've seen. I can't even get the fucking name right. But that show so deserved the sharp 2D hand-drawn style that Mappa is known for. I feel like it's perfect. But that didn't happen, so you know, whatever. I mean, you know, at least, you know, Hell's Paradise and Chainsaw Man and all these, at least they got it, you know. And then again, you can look other ways instead of Mappa. I mean, Mob Psycho ended with a wonderful third season, had a episode with, like a 250,000 frames in like one sequence, you know, like, or I guess that was probably the whole episode. I don't know the math. I just know that's the number, and it's a big number. There's a big number associated with one of the episodes, and you see it. You see all that work. Each season of Mob Psycho kind of has some moment where like the animation just pops off, and you know, I've loved it for that since second one of the show. And I may prefer it to One Punch Man. I think I ultimately do. No, yeah, I definitely do. There's a lot more character and things to latch on to in Mob, for sure. One Punch, for me personally, I like the superhero angle, and I do think it's funny. There are just sometimes that doesn't hit as strongly for me. But sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, fucking One Punch Man, let's go. I was loving the webcomic though. I gotta continue reading that. The original webcomic is gold. And you know, let me just say here too that this whole thing, I really want to stress I'm not really trying to make the solidified case that this is the golden age of anime, or that it even is one, period. I really am just sort of looking at how much good stuff is out there right now, and just taking the time to smell the roses, essentially, and say, damn, we're in a good period right now, if nothing else. It's certainly a good one. You know, because again, I'm just discovering a lot of anime that, like, is, artsier, I guess, especially that, like, older anime of this vein, anime that's now creeping on 20 years, like a Paranoia Agent, which I can't wait to talk about, on this series, or, you know, there's one that I've come across called Mononoke, that I really want to see. Even Monster, I mean, I've known about it for a while, but that's definitely one that I do want to talk about. So yeah, in the early 2000s, you know, as I was saying earlier in this pod, there was a sort of golden age of anime hype here in the early 2000s, but also, creativity in anime was definitely popping off. I mean, that certainly was a really trippy era for anime, certainly. And you had a lot of, or at least a few pretty great, some of the notorious, like 26 episode anime, at least coming out in like the mid 90s, creeping into the early 2000s. But maybe I'm getting the dates wrong there. I think Cowboy Bebop is like mid-90s and Trigun is just the beginning of the late 90s, something like that. Anyway, so again, I'm saying I can't truly solidify golden periods for you. I can't go, this is the golden periods of anime, but I can very sincerely say that we are in a good time right now, and I am much more willing right now to have a close friend of mine come over and show me anime after anime after anime after anime, all of which I haven't seen, and maybe only one of them I've even heard of. I'm much more willing to do that today for anime I've never seen than I would have even like 6 years ago, let alone like 10, because again, you start to just kind of go to like a creepier place, and that's, we people will joke in the anime community like, oh, Japan, am I right? But I can't single them out, like fucking American cartoons aren't fucking filled with fetish bait and all this weird shit either. It's just seeing, what fetish bait is associated with which country. That's really all it is. It's still egregious, but it's not exclusive to anyone. But that's definitely more of what you were working with about 10 years ago. I think now, you have more places to look than just the classics. If you are not in like the underground anime scene where you're coming across something like Paranoia Agent or Mononoke. Underground as well, whatever that means. And so let's see. I mean, Spy X Family. I really was surprised at how much fun I had watching that. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it would be fine. I thought it would be kind of cute. And that would be that. And I could just be like, I saw it. But I actually really liked it. I thought it was very charming. And I would watch it again. I didn't finish it, so, and it'll probably be a while before I continue it. So I'll probably just restart. I got decently through part 1. So I'll probably just restart because I did really like what I was seeing. And again, more just great animation too. In one of the last episodes I saw, there was this really grand scale kind of like adventure action sequence with all these great big motions and everything. It was awesome. I wasn't expecting that kind of spectacle from Spy X Family, a show where a spy is secretly dating a woman for his mission, and the woman is keeping secret that she's an assassin to the spy, and then they've adopted a little girl who is psychic, and neither of them know this, but she knows both of their secrets, and it's just a really witty, I guess I would call it, kind of witty, charming. Again, I really, a lot of these on here, I do feel more charm these days from anime than ever, like a Mob or Dr. Stone, especially season 1. But even in season 2, even though it is way more condensed a little bit to its not demise, but not necessarily for its benefit. Season 2, all the character stuff is amazing. And Dr. Stone is just wholly charming. And you can learn real stuff while you watch it. You can watch anime and learn science at the same time. I mean, you cannot get more than that. You can't. You literally can't. I'm telling you, you fucking can't. So I'm looking at this little list of mine, and I did keep it small. because I won't lie, in the midst of my moving and just recording the first part of this at like fucking 4 a.m., I'm kind of mostly remember the ones I talked about. I do believe I mentioned that, you know, when earlier here in this clip that you're currently watching, when I mentioned, you know, someone showing me a bunch of random anime and I'm likely to enjoy them. I saw one that I've mentioned so far. I do believe I mentioned Heaven's Delusion, and that I would, you know, continue watching it with Hell's Paradise, because these are two false heaven things, but in completely different ways. Heaven's Delusion kind of feels like Attack on Titan a little bit, but mixed with, I don't know, a bunch of other things. And it's also woke, and Hell's Paradise it's a just cool is what it is. That's how it feels. It feels like cool, but the smell of daisies at the same time. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Okay. You know, I will continue those as well. Again, I'm not the anime expert. I can't name every anime that's out there ever right now. But I can say that there's some good shit. You know, Castlevania was actually holding the ropes. I gotta catch up on Castlevania. But Castlevania was certainly holding the ropes for a while. Hell, I mentioned JoJo, the spin-off, the Rohan Kashibe, the Spoke Rohan Kashibe series on Netflix. Also great, a lot of fun. I don't think you can enjoy that really much if you haven't seen JoJo, though. I would not recommend watching it without having seen JoJo first, but another great anime nonetheless. I see that people were enjoying all the Evangelion, like 3.1 movies or whatever those are. I see people enjoying those. You know, I was mentioning that those One Piece movies are animated like Chef's Kiss, and again, I'm not necessarily a One Piece guy, but I can acknowledge the great animation when it's there. Because, you know, that is one of my favorite parts of this medium after all the animation itself. And let's see, is there any of these that I didn't really get too in depth with? I don't know, I think I did talk, because some of these, I guess I'll do a little tease now. Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen I will be discussing in another episode together, but it is not an anime episode. There will be a variety of things I speak of in that episode. But if you are a part of both of these communities, you'll know that there is this really pointless sort of war that happens between them, where it's like, I guess you're not allowed to like more than one good thing. So you have to say that another good thing is mid. And, you know, I'm not talking about, like, personal opinions, like, even, you know, you just art style, everything, all about it, just mid, just because, you know, it's a catchphrase. I wanted to sort of talk about that dichotomy between Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer, especially from the Jujutsu Kaisen fan base towards Demon Slayer. You know, Demon Slayer is mid is basically just a catchphrase. And it comes from a pretty vast, but there is sort of a definition to it. There is a scope, but this mindset, a fairly toxic one, a internet brain one, a sort of dishonesty and a bad faith about the things you like and the things that you don't. And that is my little tease for not the next episode, certainly not, but a upcoming episode, and as to why I will not go into Jujutsu and Demon Slayer too much, but also as when season 2 of Jujutsu ends, I probably will talk about that, because you guys aren't fucking ready for that shit, and that shit's gonna fucking, it's gonna be so sad. But I'm gonna love it. I still gotta start Demon Slayer season 3 too. I cannot wait. I love the Entertainment District arc. There's a certain point where it just turns into a big fight nonstop, and it felt like I was watching Dragon Ball Z again as an 8-year-old. Like, I was losing my ass the whole time. And then it turns into like Grave of the Fireflies right before the finale, and it's like, what the fuck? And then it goes back to just non-stop fighting, but in hell, and it's sick. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I love Jujutsu too, you know. You're allowed to not like one or the other. You're allowed to not like both, but man, if you like both of them, that's cool too. You know, again, you don't have to like these things, but liking things is cool. And when you like something, I bet you feel happy when you like a thing. I bet that's a feeling you enjoy. If I had to deduce anything about this world, so, I may call it here. I may pop in additionally, but I'm fairly confident calling it here because this is a special episode, you know, and ultimately, again, there's no finite case I wanted to make here, just more so look at a scope of things and say, wow, isn't it great? Ain't it great? You know, I still haven't seen Vinland Saga, but I can't wait to watch that. It got the same treatment as Attack on Titan. Like, the early episodes were done by one amazing studio, the same studio that did the first 3 seasons of AOT, and then MAPPA has taken on the most recent season. MAPPA actually has like 7 or 8 fucking shows out this year, something crazy like that. I have to watch Dororo by MAPPA, the one that's like based on a classic manga, or maybe even a classic story. Definitely gotta check that out. This isn't a current anime, but I just see memes of it everywhere. Pun Pun is getting way more popular these days, which is great, but I also just feel bad for people who have to experience it at the same time, and also some people definitely are not ready for that, don't know what they're getting into. They just see a cute little bird and they're like, oh, cute bird manga, awesome. But it's beautiful. And there's something else that is a manga, but should be hopefully animated by the end of this year, is the motherfucking Uzumaki adaptation. I can't wait for that. It's gonna be a godsend. I wonder if it's taking as long as it is for the same reason that Chainsaw Man did, because they're gonna have a different ending credits, you know, entire different theme and video for each episode. I don't think they're gonna do that for Uzumaki, but you love to see it when it happens. So I mean, that was so great about Chainsaw Man. Let me know in the comments, what was your favorite Chainsaw Man song? Mine was, there's actually a lot of good ones, so it would take me a moment to decide. I loved Maximum the Hormone song, because they are just the goats. I fucking love them. Ever since they first shot through my body with the second opening of Death Note, and I have a classic joke amongst my friends that, you know, when the final break happens, you know, it's just like as if the studio was like instantly swept up in a tornado, and you know, and so all the instruments are smashing everywhere. It's awesome. It's fucking awesome. Genuinely sick as hell. And I mean, the theme immediately after that is amazing. The one that, the video itself kind of feels like the Lost in Paradise ending from Jujutsu, which is fantastic. Cannot even fucking imagine what the theme songs will sound like for season 2. And then Dogland from Chainsaw Man. That shit is fucking superb. So many of these anime also have amazing themes too. That's part of it. I mean, the OPs, again, the animation, all the fucking generation, you know, defining, fucking line surpassing animation that we're getting. It certainly goes into all these openings as well. Tower God is another one. That's about 2018, I think it came out, but I've heard it's going to continue, so that'll be cool. There may be, if there's something I forgot, I will tune back in and talk about it, but otherwise, I think I could just leave this here, because I just, wanted to recount the goodies. Okay? Okay. Well, guys, I've loved my time in this lab, but the one flaw of this lab is that I do not experience the passage of time in here. It is perpetually gray, no matter how much color is on the wall, no matter how much music is played, no matter how many movies are made. So we're off to newer horizons, but while I'm here, I might as well take a moment to perceive and experience this, because that is what living is, and it's all you have. But you keep moving forward. You cannot dwell in the past. And this is not dwelling either. I mean, I had it all set up nice for you here finally. For the last one, the last one in this room anyway. I'm going to plant this into a random one. I only have so many pre-recorded before I leave though, so you may be seeing this sooner than later. But that only means that you will be seeing episodes of me in my greenhouse sooner than later, which is not a bad thing either. So I don't know what else to say other than see you next time. Thank you. And God bless you, whatever that means to your kid, okay? Alright? I'm just looking out for you. Okay? And so is he, alright? Wait! Obligatory popcorn shot. There, it was hidden in the last one, but, or one of, probably the last one from the episode that this will be in. You ever had this before? Thank you. What can I say? I guess I never thought that I could believe in myself. But if anyone was ever gonna get me to realize my true power, it was you. なんで何
on your phone at 4 to 3 a.m. when you're feeling close then.